So out of the 8 people who were convicted in the first trial, 4 are appealing, and those are the ones who were given the longest prison sentences and who were convicted of the most serious crimes. First of all, 2 young men who were friends with the killer. They were friends with Abdullah Anzorov. They were both convicted for having helped him get hold of the weapons, and one of them even drove him to Conflans, that town to the west of Paris, where Samuel Paty taught in a middle school. They were both convicted and given 16 years behind bars. They are appealing. They said that in the first trial, they said that they had no idea of the intentions of their friend when they drove him to get the weapon and when one of them drove him to Conflans. But the court ruled that they could simply not have known the intentions and the dangerousness of their friend, and they were given 16-year prison sentences. The other 2 men who are appealing today are of an older generation than one of them, Abdelhakim Sefri. He was known already by the French police as being an Islamist activist, and he was convicted for having been one of the authors of the online hate campaign that targeted Samuel Paty. Another man, the 4th man who's appealing today, he is the father of a teenage girl, a 13-year-old. She told the lie, really the spark that lit the flame. She told her father that she had been discriminated against in class by Samuel Paty because she was Muslim, that she had stood up to him when he showed caricature of the Prophet Muhammad in a speech, in a free speech and in liberty of expression class. Now, the real truth there was that she was actually not in that class at all, and she lied to her father. But her father, Brahim Shina, and Abdelhakim Sefri, they both were convicted of having been authors of this online hate campaign because they went online calling Samuel Paty a teacher thug. They went online giving details of his name and where he worked, and the judge said that they bore responsibility for this online hate campaign, for a state of mind that led the killer, Abdullah Anzorov, to carry out the act. He was driven to Conflans and he beheaded Samuel Paty in the streets in a brutal, gruesome murder. And Samuel Paty left behind a young son who was growing up in what lawyers of the family say is difficult, complicated circumstances, as his father was brutally murdered in this way. In October 2020, just as the school had broken up for the holidays in October, he was walking home from school and he was beheaded in the street. Abdullah Anzorov, he was killed by police shortly afterwards.
Claire, while you were talking there, we saw some of the images of people out protesting, people demonstrating afterwards. I mean, it was a case that really did shake France, wasn't it?
It certainly shook France. This is not an understatement for a teacher, a history and geography teacher, to be beheaded in the streets by Abdullah Anzorov, so an 18-year-old of Chechen origin who got wind of this online hate campaign that was the authors, of course, as we saw, that convicted in the first trial. They really, this was a case that shook France, and the judge ruled that this had been an attack on the Republic, and that given the absolute barbarism of the crime, that those who were convicted, the school is supposed to be a sanctuary, a safe haven. That's what the judge ruled, and certainly the teenage girl, the 13-year-old, who told that lie to her father, to give you some more details as to that, she told her father that she had been discriminated against by Samuel Paty because she's a Muslim, that she had tried to stand up to him in class when he showed caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad. And the real reason she was not in class that day, she was not in class at all, that was the truth. The reason for that was that the principal of the school had suspended her for bad behaviour and truancy. So she told this lie, and the lie got completely out of hand. This online hate campaign was launched against Samuel Paty, which led to his brutal murder in the streets just over a week later.